You're listening to Stephen Michaels. This is the Raiders Daily Podcast.
How's it going, Raider Nation? My name is Stephen Michaels. You are listening to the number one podcast in the world. This is the Raiders Daily. Let's get into it. It is the Raiders versus the Chargers Monday Night Football preview show. I can't find a better place to be than right here and now. Get locked in, get ready. This is the biggest game for the Raiders so far, even though this is only the fourth game of the season, of the year for the Silver and Black. This is on Monday Night Football. This could be a statement win by the Raiders. This is a game they have to win. Last week against Miami, it's the Miami Dolphins. I'll take any win, no matter how sloppy it is, but I will say this. There is no reason to go to overtime against the Miami freaking Dolphins. The Dolphins suck. I tried telling you guys this before. There is no reason for that. But you know what? Let's put that behind us and hope the Raiders don't play like that on Monday night, because the Raiders are going to need to play a perfect game to beat the Chargers. They are going to need to get after Justin Herbert. And it's going to start up front for the defense for the Raiders. Their front four must be committed. They must get after Justin Herbert. Here's the deal, okay, with the Raiders defense. The Chargers, they're coming in. They're 17th in yards per passing attempt, okay? They are 17th. And then when you look at man coverage, when they're going up against man coverage, they are 14th in completion percentage, and they're 16th in yards per attempt. Now you compare that to zone coverage, which is basically what Gus Bradley plays a lot. They're third in completion percentage, 8th in yards per attempt. Okay, Gus Bradley has called zone coverage on 82.5% of the Raiders' coverage snaps. That's fourth, by the way. He's called that many. But the Raiders need to mix in more man coverages this week. They need more man-to-man. It's clear they need to do that. They need to figure a way out, because I'm telling you right now, if the Raiders just play their cover 3 and their zone, Justin Herbert will eat them alive. He will eat them alive. So the front four for the Raiders, they have to get after Justin Herbert. They have to. Now, the Chargers, their offensive line, they've been doing pretty well. You know, they had 4 new starters this offseason, and they've been pretty good. You know, they allowed quarterback pressures on just 20% of their drop back passes. Just 20%. That's tied for 6th in the NFL. And they've only allowed a sack rate of 3.8% this season. That means they are protecting Justin Herbert. The Raiders' front four must get after him. They need to make sure when this game is over, those stats are worse than what they are now. They can't be 5th in the league this season with that sack rate. The Raiders need that sack rate number to go up. They need to get after this guy, and they also need to force some turnovers, because I have a feeling this game is going to come down to defense. I really do. I think this game will come down to whoever's defense makes the biggest plays in this game. Both teams look like they'll have a little bit success on offense. Both teams are loaded on offense. Some of the things that worry me, are the Raiders' defensive backs. Going up against these guys the Chargers got, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. These are really good physical wide receivers. They're big wide receivers. These will be the best wide receivers the Raiders have faced so far this season. And don't forget about Austin Eckler, by the way, in the run game and in the pass game. This guy can beat you. So the Raiders need to be prepared for this. They need to be prepared for this. They are good. There's no doubt about it. They are good. So the Raiders have to be ready for Austin Eckler. They have to be ready for Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. These guys are good. Now the Raiders, their defense, they've had 7 sacks this season. That's tied for 12th. They had 57 hurries, that's tied for first, and 22 quarterback hits, that's tied for seventh again, and 40 pressures, that's tied for eighth. Now, you hear these stats, right? And you say, wow, 57 hurries, they're tied for first. But for sacks, they've only had 7 and they're tied for 12th. What does that tell you? That means they're getting after their quarterback. They're hurrying the quarterback, but they're not dropping the quarterback. They're not getting that quarterback to the ground. They need to get Justin Herbert on the ground. They need to get into Justin Herbert's head and make him throw passes he doesn't want to throw. Therefore, maybe the Raiders can get a pick. Maybe they can get an interception. The Raiders desperately need that in this game. They need to create turnovers on defense. They need to. Now, blitzing, probably not going to be the answer. Justin Herbert is really good against the blitz. He's really good. I mean, he's 8th in completion percentage and 12th in yards per attempt when teams blitz him. So the Raiders need to rely on their front four to get after Justin Herbert and make his day miserable. The Chargers, they loaded up on their offensive line. They got pretty much a brand new offensive line, 4 new starters on the offensive line. And those guys have been playing very good. I mean, I've already gave you the numbers, They have allowed pressures on just 20% of their dropbacks. That's tied for 6th in the NFL. They allowed a sack rate of 3.8%. Like I said, that's 5th in the league this season. So the Raiders need to change that this game, Monday night. So as far as the Raiders go on offense, their red zone, they need to get better in the red zone. There's no doubt about it. They need to get better in the red zone. Daniel Carlson cannot be going out there kicking field goals left and right. They need to score touchdowns rather than field goals, especially in this game. Only 53.8% of their red zone drives have ended in a touchdown. That's tied for 21st, by the way, in the NFL. So what does that tell you? That means half the time they're in the end zone, a little bit more than half, or in the red zones, they are kicking field goals instead of punching the ball in or getting a touchdown. They are leaving points on the scoreboard. They're leaving them off. I mean, they're not getting... Against Miami, they should have blown out Miami. Even the Ravens and the Steelers. Instead, they're kicking field goals instead of getting touchdowns. And that's a little bit concerning. The Raiders need to figure a way to get touchdowns on these drives. They can't have these long drives, 70, 80-yard drives, and then Daniel Carlson's running out in the field to kick a field goal. Not in this game. It may have worked against Miami, which, actually, it almost lost them the game, an extra point. But either way, it may have worked against these other teams. It's not going to work against the Chargers. Like I said, the Chargers are loaded on offense. The Raiders' defense are going to have to play pretty much a perfect game. And you cannot play a cover 3 into a cover 2. You can't do that in this game. You got to mix and match. You got to have a lot of man-on-man. Mix that in a cover 2. Mix that in a cover 3. But you got to mix. You can't just set your guys into one system the whole game. If they do that, the Raiders are going to lose. I promise you. And if the front four is not creating havoc in the backfield for Justin Herbert and getting him rattled and stopping the run game, which the Chargers are going to test the Raiders early in the run game. They are. Not a lot of teams have tested the Raiders at all in the run game at all. The Chargers know that. They're going to want to test that. So the Raiders, they have to be ready for this. We got to remember, the Raiders, they're coming into this game, they're still averaging around 30 points per game. That's tied for 6th, I believe. So they're not struggling to score, but they could be even better if they scored in the red zone. Just imagine all those long drives where, they flame out and you see Daniel Carlson. Imagine if they turn those into the touchdowns. They would be ranked number 1, I guarantee you. This Raiders offense, I just talked about how good the Chargers offense is, and they are really good. But this Raiders offense is just as good, maybe even better, especially when Derek Carr spreads the ball around. This is a game where you need to get Bryan Edwards more involved. You need Henry Ruggs to get more involved. Now, the Chargers are really good, by the way, of making teams throw underneath. They don't want to get beat over the top. They're pretty good at doing that. They're pretty good at making sure no teams beat them with big, long passes. They try to keep everything in front of them. That's what they try to do anyways. Their defense plays the pass first, basically. And, the Raiders, they need to make sure that that's not a setup for a big run. That's going to be huge right there. So we'll see how they do. But, I'll tell you one thing right now. They've only allowed, the Chargers defense, they've only allowed 20 points per game. So, and the Chargers are 7th in total passing offense, and they're 11th in yards per pass attempt. Then they allowed, 4th in pressure rate allowed. So that means their offensive line, they're doing very, very good. That's why the front four for the Raiders will dictate this game. I promise you, they will dictate how this game goes. That's just the way they do it. So the Raiders need to be ready. They need to be ready for this. This Chargers defense, they're really good. They are. They're really, really good. I think I said Chargers. But the Chargers, by the way, are their team, just in case I said the Raiders. I don't know. I was talking really fast. The Chargers are the ones that they've only allowed about 20 points per game, tied for 7th. And the Chargers are the ones that total passing defense, 11th in yards per pass attempt. And the Chargers, obviously, 4th in pressure rate allowed. But anyways, so the Chargers defense, they're going to be ready. And remember, Joey Bosa is going to be in this game. How's Alex Leatherwood going to do against Joey Bosa? They're going to put him over there. You just know it. So we need a big game out of Alex Leatherwood. If this guy is struggling and the Raiders can't get nothing going because Derek Carr's on his ass every single play, getting sacked, then guess what? This isn't a game where you just keep him out there and hope things get better. No, you yank him for Brandon Parker immediately. If there's problems early, just yank the guy. Now, let's not pretend that this guy didn't get benched for Brandon Parker. What was that, 2 games ago? I forgot what game it was. Last week or a week before, where all of a sudden Leatherwood had a back injury and had to come out of the game. We all know that's BS. We all know he got benched because he was getting destroyed. This is a game where you got to do the same thing. You cannot let the Chargers dictate how things are going to go. You, as the offense for the Raiders, you have so much talent there. Bryan Edwards, Henry Ruggs, Hunter Renfrow, who's the most underrated slot wide receiver in the entire NFL. The entire NFL. I promise you this. I've watched every slot wide receiver in the NFL. There is nobody better than this guy. No one who's crafty enough. No one can get open like this guy can. This guy is clutch. You're going to want to go to Renfrow a lot in this game. And the Chargers, like I said, they like to keep things in front of them. They're a pass-first defense. They're going to want to make sure there's nothing happening over our top. They're not getting beat with big plays. That's where guys like Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow come in. Hunter Renfrow, easy in and outs. Darren Waller, don't try to force it to him every single play, but chances are he's going to have his opportunities to be open. Then if you do that, and if Jacobs does indeed play, which he should, if the Raiders can get a run game going to keep that Chargers defense honest, that will open up things for maybe a big go route from Henry Ruggs to get wide open down the field. But first, you need to establish a run game. And if it's not with Josh Jacobs, then Barber or someone needs to get a run game going because the Raiders been passing so much that teams just know what they're going to do. So if they can start mixing that up with a good run game, this offense will even look better. And the Raiders' offense, by the way, have looked great. Now, this game might come down to the end. It could come down to the end just like almost every other game the Raiders play. Luckily, Derek Carr has been clutch in the 4th quarter. He's always been clutch when the game's on the line. That's never been a knock on him. The knock on Derek Carr is, can he stay consistent throughout an entire season? Or, because sometimes, as we've seen in the last 8 years, this guy will just break down for like 3 games for no reason. If he can stay consistent, this team has a chance to be really good throughout the season. But he's got to do that against good teams, and the whole team has got to stop playing to their opponent's level. For example, against Miami is not a good team. Yet the Raiders had to beat them in overtime. There's no excuse for that. No excuse at all. When they're playing against a bad team, they should blow them out. When they're playing against the Chargers, it's going to be a tough game to win. But what I love to see the Raiders go out there, go into L.A., Raiders market, they own L.A., we all know that. Go in there and just beat the living crap out of the Chargers? Of course. Do I think that can happen? Yes. Do I predict that's going to happen? No. Just because there's too many factors in this game. I could not predict a winner of this game. I don't know what team is going to show up. If the Raiders show up, have no mental errors, if they're not jumping off sides, pass interference, if the DBs for the Raiders, the cornerbacks, if they can all hold up against these big physical wide receivers and Austin Eckler out of the backfield, by the way, if they can contain all that, they will do well. Now, we know the Chargers, they're going to try to throw off Denzel Perryman. They watched what the Chargers did. Denzel Perryman did not have the greatest game in coverage. They're going to try to do that again against the Raiders. If the Raiders front four, though, can get after Justin Herbert, then that will be huge. Make this guy throw the ball before he wants to. I think this game will come down to defense. I really do. I think the team who makes the most plays on defense, the team who creates the most turnovers on defense, will win this game. And the defense for the Raiders, their front four has been impressive. They've been very, very good. My only knock on them is they get after the quarterback, but sometimes they're not getting the quarterback on the ground. They're hitting the quarterback, then the quarterback bounces out. Now remember, Justin Herbert's not really a scrambling quarterback, but he's crafty. You know, he can move his feet around. He buys himself some time. The Raiders can't do that. They cannot do that. So that's why I say mixing up the defense for the Raiders will help them. They just can't play the same defense. You got to mix up some man-to-man. You're going to have to mix up a blitz here and there. We know Gus Bradley never blitzes. And the Chargers do have some success at blitzing. But they're not expecting the Raiders to do it that much either in this game. That's why mental warfare. I believe they're doing that with Josh Jacobs right now, by the way. Oh, we don't know if he's playing. We don't know if he's playing. Oh, he might not play. Game time decision. Meanwhile, he's going to play. You know, but they're trying to play some mental warfare. They can do that against the Chargers. Then maybe, just maybe, it will help them because the Raiders will need a run game because the Chargers defense, they're great against the pass. Like I mentioned, they don't let a lot of teams make big plays against them. But their Achilles heel is their ability to stop the run. The Chargers, they allowed 5.8 yards per rush. That's last in the NFL. 170 yards last game. 170 yards per game. That's last in the NFL. That's what they're averaging. I mean, that is what they are allowing right now. So, in the Raiders, as you know, they've been struggling to run the ball in the first two games. You know, I mean, they did have, 140 yards total last week against the Dolphins. But, you know, that's the Dolphins. This is a game where the Chargers have shown, you know, throughout the first 3 weeks or whatever, that they struggle against the run. So if Jacobs can come in there and have a big game, and the Raiders can dictate the time of possession, the clock, just dictate how things roll, the Raiders stand an excellent chance of winning if they can run off this LA Chargers defense. And for the first 3 weeks, teams, like I mentioned, had not had a problem running off them. They're allowing 5.8 yards per rush. That's last in the NFL, guys. Last. 170 yards per game. Opposing teams averaging against the Chargers. That's the last in the NFL. So if there's any time that the Raiders need Josh Jacobs to have a huge monster game, it would be this Monday night, tomorrow night in LA, in the Raiders home market. I would call it a Raiders home game, but technically it's the Chargers logo in the middle. But guess what? The little logo in the middle, that doesn't tell the story. Look at the crowd. It will all be silver and black. And I have a feeling the Chargers, and the Rams. Remember, it was Stan Kroenke who did not want the Raiders in L.A. because he don't like Raider fans. They'll try their best, by the way, not to sell too many tickets to the Raiders, but I think the damage is already done. I think it'll be probably 75% Raider fans there. So they'll be able to take over that game with the fans. They'll have the fans on their side. So this is a game, like I mentioned, I'll say it again, the Raiders need a good running attack on offense. They definitely do. That will open up things in the pass game because the Chargers are coming out there as a pass team first, thinking Derek Carr is going to throw the ball over and over and over again. If you bring Josh Jacobs in, if he's healthy, even if it's Peyton Barber, I don't care what running back it is, okay? If they can establish a run game, that will give them a 70% chance of winning this football game. If they can go over 130 yards in this game, 70% chance of winning. They need to figure that out. Now, like I said, on Raiders, on offense, they need to figure out, how to stop Joey Bosa. I'm, like I said, little worried about that situation. Little worried. But, the Raiders, they're 28th yards per rush, 25th in total rushing offense, and 30th in rushing. So, that's just not very good. So, hopefully, they can get something going. Hopefully. Also, Andre James. Let's point this out real quick. This guy's got to learn how to snap the football and not over Derek Carr's head. We don't need a quarterback that has to literally catch a football, catch it in the air, bob it in the air, catch it, then refocus his eyes and try to scope the field. And then it's impossible. That's impossible to do every time. You're going to get sacked. Bad things are going to happen. So that is something I know for a fact the Raiders have been hammering Andre James on all week. He has to figure that out. I mean, he has to. Him and Derek Carr have to figure that out. But it's really not on Derek Carr. It's on Andre James. This guy needs to figure that issue out, or the Raiders are going to have to find a new center because that's going to cost them a game. That really will. All it's going to take is that guy sailing one right over Derek Carr's head in the fourth quarter when the Raiders need a field goal and the other team taking it back for a touchdown and icing a football game. We don't need that off something so stupid. A mental error. The Raiders need to avoid all mental errors if they want to win this game. No dumb penalties. They can't have it. They cannot have it. They cannot have any mental errors. They can't have anything stupid happen. No dumb pass interference calls in the end zone. None of that. All they really need to do is slow down Justin Herbert. You don't need to stop him completely, but you need to hit him. You need to sack him. You need to make him feel a little bit shaky and not have a good game. Because I don't like the matchups on the outside. I don't like how the Chargers have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. All these guys, they're a big physical wide receiver, something Raiders have not faced yet. And when they have, they've struggled. So the only way to stop that, really, is by getting after Justin Herbert. And also, the Raiders need to be prepared for the screen game. Now, they've been much better this season dealing with that. The Chargers are going to try that with Austin Eckler a lot. A lot of dump-off passes. You got to watch out for that guy. Austin Eckler, he's a really good running back. A really good running back. So that's something the Raiders need to take into account. And then, on offense, like I said, Derek Carr has multiple weapons. If this offensive line can hold up, and the Raiders can get a run game, Josh Jacobs playing, if this guy can go nuts, hasn't been played in 2 weeks, maybe lights a fire under his ass. That's what he needs. If this guy can go off, the Raiders stand an excellent chance of winning. Now, like I said, I'm not going to make any predictions, but I will say this. The Raiders have the talent to beat the Chargers. There's no doubt in my mind. The Raiders have the weapons to beat the Chargers. There's no doubt in mind. And last, what I'll leave you with, have you seen the coach for the Chargers? Have you seen this guy? Come on now. John Gruden can't lose against this guy. Just go look at him if you don't know what I'm talking about. Type in Chargers press conference. He looks like the guy from, I don't know if you guys ever watched this show, but if you have Netflix, just go put on that show, You. He looked just like Joe from You. That's what he looks like. He doesn't even look like a coach. He looks like a guy who just walked out of science class, okay? This is a guy, I mean, come on. John Gruden, let's get it together. Put together a good game plan. Don't let Justin Herbert beat you over the top every single time. Stop the run game, because they're going to try. Stop the run game. Force the Chargers on long third downs, and don't give up 3rd and 20s for something stupid, whatever it may be, some dumb penalties, or don't give up 3rd and 20s for no reason at all. We watched Miami do it last week. 3rd and 20. They're ready to get the team off the field, and they allow them to throw to Mike Gesicki, their tight end. By the way, Raiders got to watch out for that too. That's who will be going up against Denzel Perryman a lot in this game. Denzel Perryman, he's been shaky in coverage, so Raiders got to be careful. But when it's 3rd and 20, I expect the defense to be able to get the team off the field. They have to in this game. They can't give the LA Chargers any freebies. You need to make them earn every yard. That's the way the Raiders will beat the Chargers, and I think the Raiders can do it. Yes, the Raiders' offensive line is a little shaky, but remember, you can run off this team, and if the Raiders can successfully run off the Chargers, then I will say this: the Raiders stand an excellent chance of winning. And if Derek Carr, don't get concerned, don't get scared of their safeties. A lot of times, Derek Carr, I notice, gets a little antsy, gets a little nervous. Look at the Dolphins. They had Xavier Howard. A lot of guys, you could tell, he wasn't that comfortable throwing it down the field. It took him a little bit to do it. Use your confidence, okay? You got to have confidence. Confidence that your guys can beat their guys, and they can't. Look at the weapons you have. Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, Hunter Renfrow, Zay Jones, get him involved in more. Darren Waller. There's so much talent on this Raiders offense, and there's talent on Chargers offense too. But I just think at the end of the day, the Raiders have more talent, and I really do believe, but I don't want to make any, predictions here, but I believe the Raiders can go in there and win this game. I really do. Like I said, the Chargers are really good at limited, down the field throws. We all know that. But the Raiders, this is their toughest test yet on defense. We know that. But the Raiders, in my opinion, they can beat the Chargers by not throwing it all down the field. Yards after the catch. They call it yak. That will be huge in this game. And Hunter Renfrow is great at that. Darren Waller is great at that. Hell, even Derek Carrier can be good at that at some time. You need all hands on deck for this game. This is a big one, Raider Nation. This is Monday Night Football. This is the game of the week. This is Chargers versus the Raiders. And the Raiders can win this game if they play a perfect game. And they can run the ball and get things straight. Get no mental errors, nothing stupid. Let's just win this one. I don't care how ugly it looks. I don't care if it's the most disgusting victory in the world. As long as, when this game is over, there's a W under the Raiders' name. And the Raiders are 4-0. All right, guys, I will see you guys next week after the game. We'll recap the game, and of course, we'll look ahead to the Chicago Bears. But for now, just win. That's all the Raiders need to do. I will see you guys later. Thank you, everyone. And if you want to support the show, the link's in the description on YouTube. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys later. My name is Steven Michaels. This is the Raiders Daily.